thinking this one over a little bit, maybe trying to debate that exact sort of idea. Should we just take the Nyax here?
Oh, and they go Jug.
Okay. Now, it's always kind of an interesting pick because they're heroes that fill a similar void, right? Damage dealers, heavy farmers with built-in magic immunity. I would say though that the Jug's damage potential is a step further than what they would have gotten with the Lifestealer.
Yeah, and more directly, it is looking at the Pango because
Right.
Lifestealer cannot hit. If Jug gets the Omni Slash onto the Pango mid roll, well, then Pango cries. Pango can't do much about that situation except for maybe itemize for a Yule Scepter, down the road. But that's the big part of it. Like you said, they are very similar, especially in the lanes that they get drafted into. But I think with that niche counter, that's where Jug certainly fills the spot, just maybe an inch higher, a little bit better.
And again, a hero that Parker knows his stuff on, even if it's maybe not quite as massively intimidating as that previous TA. So, Suns are going to have to be very careful here, but for now, they are focusing on what they're assuming to be, I guess, the off-lane position here, which, fortunately, if you're nouns, you still don't have entirely locked down, right? The Primal Beast still has the option to move, but you're probably more afraid of offlane options than you are banning out supports in the third phase, so, Venomancer it is.
Yeah, and it is Frank, right? Even though, okay, he's Devil now, but it is Frank. He is willing to do that. And then, of course, it would just be the Primal 4, which we already know that Genic is down for. So it's probably the last flex that Infinity have in their draft. I think that's where Nouns might just look for an NP ban as well, for the same reason why I was calling for it in the previous draft, just because you don't want to limit the lanes that Yamsun's going to feel comfortable in, because really, matchup wise versus the Jug, there's really not too many heroes or things that you want to look for. Something that does a little bit more anti armor would probably be the best. Jug naturally doesn't scale too quickly. Anything that goes for a silence as well puts more pressure on the Jug immediately. It's where maybe Morphling for Yamsun feels kind of
Hmm.
all right, even though, again, blind pick into Infinity's last choice is maybe a little bit sketch, but certainly would win the core matchup and give you something else to do. But again, we'll have to see. And let's say you could also go for maybe Naga. Illusions. You'll never say no to illusions versus Jug. That's probably where they're going to look to take this.
And very few illusion heroes have been taken away, so they really have their pick if that's the direction that they're looking to go in. Let's see. It will be the Morphling. Okay. Not a bad choice. Good mobility, good damage, hard to kill. Some pretty solid morph targets here as well over the course of these fights, so yeah, puts them in a solid spot. No risk of Infinity slipping any sort of Ancient Apparition pick in there either at the last possible second, so oh, in that case, what will the call be for Infinity? Because we've got a little bit of time sort of left here. Do you think that this is going to be an offlane option for them, ET?
Yeah, and well, the simple one would be that he sticks his nose down and he plays Enigma. And even
Hmm.
though it's a slightly difficult Enigma game in terms of his ulti, every other part is really valuable. And
Ooh.
they go for Weaver. Okay, a Sacred fan, perhaps? He's the one that popularized it first, right alongside the Snapfire, but very interested to see
Okay.
what Frank's going to do here, because this is going to have to be an imitation performance of what Sacred does on that hero and why Sacred gets Weaver bans versus him. But no, very interesting and very interested to see what he goes item wise. Probably
Right.
just going to immediately rush the vessel, I can only imagine, but is also one of those multi-tool heroes where I also wouldn't be surprised if he just randomly has an Orchid, because why not? You can pretty much go any item on Weaver and it's pretty okay.
And I think that was part of the reason why Sacred gravitated towards the hero so much. The flexibility in your itemization. You can be utility, you can play defensive, you could look for damage or lockdown. You have a lot of directions to go in, even though you're not getting the same amount of farm that the carry version of the Weaver would get. Unless your offlane's just an absolute disaster, you're going to have enough for something near the start.
No, but I am very excited, and even though the lane might be a little bit tough for Yamsa now, definitely think Weaver not only outranges you, but also probably outdamage you for a good bit of the lane. You've got a morph target now. The previous four heroes on Infinity maybe didn't feel the best to turn into. Jug probably was the tip of the iceberg, but I think now Weaver's definitely an option, and I still think this is a really good morph game, but now it is just going to be a matter of what Frank's going to be able to do in the laning stage. And there's still a Primal Beast, so, you know, if Yamsun isn't careful, sitting too low on that Agi, one-shots can happen. It's where the
Yeah.
Primal is always scary. We might see Yamsun hovering over that F key anytime he hears that roar.
Can only really afford to let that happen to you like once or twice, right? Beyond that, it does become a bit of a problem. But we'll see. Yamsun should be able to hold his own here. As we are going to get ourselves loaded in game 2 of this series, getting underway, and well, we'll have to see if Nouns can put the kind of rough patch that was game 1 behind them. Try and get a better performance this time around. They've got players on heroes that they're going to be feeling pretty good with, so in terms of comfort, more than anything else, I like what they've done here compared to game 1, just because the lane swapping in game 1 was kind of funky. We'll just have to wait and see if it's enough, but these smokes are going in opposite directions at the moment, so both sides sort of feeling a little bit aggressive in the early stages, but they will miss each other.
Yep, just gets the cliff, places the ward up. Infinity's not going to nab on anything here, and Nouns gets a nice little courier snipe ward, and we'll see if Lelis can hit on that mark. But I do like that Nouns seemingly have more to play for, and I think getting Moo and Gunner involved side to side, they tried to make those same rotations in game 1, but just felt like the heroes weren't enabling the style that they probably were preferring. But this time around, way more cohesion, way more to play for. And Gunner's on, I think, arguably one of his best heroes, probably top 2. I think that and his Tusk is what you're always going to look out to play versus and play for. And he got his easy draw lane versus Leo style. Of course, you know, he's going to go for a solo kill some point. Knowing Gunner, you know, something's going to happen in that lane. It's never an easy, but just smooth sailing ship. But I feel like that's also where just going for those early kills, it's exactly what Gunner wants to do. So might as well put him in those draw lanes.
They're going to make a move onto Yamsun here, trying to take him down early. He is shifting. Attribute shift, doing some work. They won't dive the tower, but, well, I don't know. They force the attribute shift, they make him burn through a little bit of regen, and then Prada just TP's bot, so just a low-cost play that gets a little bit more annoying for Yamsun to deal with.
Yeah, and killed pretty much most of the wave, so now this wave is going to push hard and out into Frank's favor, so I got quite a few benefits off of that little play. Unfortunately, though, well, Parker was left on his lonesome versus 2 heroes in the bottom, so he has to get salved by his buddy, and also has some tangos burning, but ate a ton of damage for his first spin.
Yeah. That is what you want if you're Nouns. If you can just get the damage to stick even through the spin, then you're going to be in a pretty solid position. So, both sides just trying to annoy the opposing carry as much as possible, which, to be honest, we don't really get to see all that often, but Jug at early levels, Morph at early levels, you know, they're not in that unassailable position. They can absolutely be harassed or even killed if they're not paying attention.
And we'll have to see what Prada's going to be able to do here, because Lelis is not letting him move at all. They let the small camp spawn, but has also blocked off his own large camp to try and get that D ward going, so we're in a bit of a standstill, as a lot of the mana has already been expended across the map, where level 1 spells just don't do that much damage.
Yamsun really is getting the business here from Genic. He has charged, I think, 2 or 3 times now, and they haven't been able to bring Yamsun down, but his regen is getting a little bit tight here, and Frank pushes forward, just gets a little bit of extra damage in, just trying to keep Yamsun honest. Not going to let him get out to any early edge, but that does mean Genic is basically out of mana unless he's willing to pop some mangoes.
Yeah, let's see. Doesn't get the pull off. Nice interrupt from Husky, but this lane gets much more difficult for Infinity. It's where I think one more point up in the adaptive strike, and we'll see how greedy really Yamsun decides to get with this Morphling. But The harassment before raindrops really does hurt. It's also where as soon as that Morbid Mask is done, Yamsa will just hit you. He will just sit himself up in the lane and then just lifesteal off of you instead of going into the jungle. It's the new wave with Morphlings.
And then taking a look at the middle lane, we kind of pointed out for Gunnar, Leo style honestly likes to play this way as well. They always look for that moment, look for that opportunity to just find that one kill. Just maybe one or two that your opponent isn't expecting that suddenly turns the lane in your favor. Of course, if both mid laners like to play that way AT, that means that there's absolutely going to be some sort of fireworks in mid once the levels get up, but until that point, they're probably going to try to play a little bit more efficiently as Leo style snowballs past, but it's coming at some point.
Yeah, and as is very typical in this matchup, and what we see reflected in the CS is that you can't really fight for too much as Lelis. Oh, distracted me, bottom. A lot of damage, but what a bushwhack! And he's not going to die because of that. That bushwhack stretched all the way. That rope looked like it was going to snap, but cool. Nice bushwhack, survives, eats a lot of damage, but that's the boots advantage that Parker's abusing there. Needs to be very careful. Can't really afford to do that again.
Well, we'll see when Parker looks to put a point up in the healing ward, because that could make some of these trades a little bit easier for them to put together, but does not have the point up in it just yet. Ellis honestly didn't even really have to leave the lane here. Heals up quite nicely, you know? Still sticking around. Can't stop this pull, but can at least maybe contest it, try and steal what he can, and well, Prada's not going to be happy about it, but Prada can't really do a whole lot about it.
No, it has to still be a pretty chill here, even though Lelis is really low level, but just good with the trades and Moo with the boots. There's eventually going to be able to catch up, and with the bring back, yeah, there you go, and a late first blood, but real nice play from Lelis there, setting that all up.
Just being so persistent with that move as Leo style over in mid. Well, he made an attempt at it. Didn't have Walrus Punch just yet, and he does force out a TP. Husky has to come over, and Genic, are you oh, wow, I was going to say, are you sure? He is pretty damn sure, ET. Level 2 charge is enough damage, and they take Gunnar down.
Yeah, who doesn't love Primal Beast? It's still just ridiculous to a certain degree, and 100% didn't see that coming for Gunnar. Probably was a charge that could have been calmed out for top as well, but then he walks all the way bottom, has one set of spells, but then your Primal Beast is tapped. They want Lelis. Don't know if they want to go for Moo, but oh, spells, yeah.
There it is.
They do eventually connect. Genic gonna eat a lot of damage, but I don't think Moo can get this.
He was holding a Fairy Fire just in case. Fairy Fire that is not necessary, and Genic, I mean, a double rotation that works on both ends. Mid lane, though, Leo style, he's getting hit up a little bit, but the snowball just kind of breaks it up. Husky's damage doesn't really last, doesn't have a point in the ice path to keep it locked down, so the support on the Infinity side gets in and finds 2 kills. The support on the Noun side doesn't, but Gunnar's able to get the lane to himself for a little bit, and it's going to count for something.
Yeah, I think Gunnar also has the Orb of Corrosion completed coming out, so more damage to play around with. Just got his 6-2. Look mid.
Oh,
Gonna go. They want to force it, or at the very least kill him. Trying to chain it up.
Yeah, he's able to get off the roll. Oh, that tower shot, though. That got a little bit dicey, but Gunnar's able to roll himself out.
Yeah, and first roll, being forced into a defensive position, you know, kind of sucks, but at least he's got these bounty runes. But yeah, bot. They just bring too many heroes. They catch him in between that long CD of the roll, and Prada's gonna go down as well. Doing a great job utilizing Husky. This should change things, though. Frank is here.
Prada is eventually going to die. There we go. The DOT does him in, but yeah. Frank is able to come over. Doesn't get the kill. It's just an assist, but it is a little bit of gold into his hands, and over in the middle lane, Genic is looking to charge in. They want Gunnar again. They've got the charge. They've got the trample. The snowball is coming. Do they have enough damage to kill him off this time? Oh, they would have, but Lelis gets in there with the bushwhack, and Gunnar, he's gonna live. Genic now has to run away. Don't think he makes it out, but here comes Yeah, here comes Frank in to just sort of finish the job. And now they're going to start to turn onto the supports. The shards going to force both Lelis and Husky, well, deeper into the river. They're splitting their focus a little bit here, but should be fine. Parker's going to just spin his way for the 1 kill. Leo Style has shards up in 1. Level 3 may not be enough damage for the kill outright, but it should allow him to maintain vision for the snowball. And he is going all the way in. That is a Solar Guardian, though, and Gunner. He's back into the fight, so maybe Leo Style's gone a bit too far forward. They know he used all his abilities, but he doesn't actually get up the ramp. Instead, they're going to try and focus in onto Frank. He does have time lapse, though, so he's able to fall back. And maybe it's time to back off here. This fight's been going on for like 2 minutes now. Weaver, he might be faking it. Yes, he is. They're going to go back in. Gunner's in trouble. There's going to be the snowball into the charge. The trample's in. The Walrus Punch is there. Moo is doing his best, and actually his best is pretty damn good. Leo Style's the one to get punished. They just don't have the damage.
Yeah, Tips traded out. That Orb of Corrosion does so much, and ooh, a lot of damage. But Frank, hey, you use your abilities, and I'm Pangolier. All those Swashbucklers connect. Gannett gets taken out by Moo as well with his last hammer. And Nouns find the punishes. Just simple stuff, but Infinity's aggression gets turned on its head. And I think just not ready for that second round of fighting, and Prada just really in no position to help his teammates at all. Maybe with the CM's involvement, that turns around, but few whiffs, a lot of gold in the Nouns' pockets.
That's the thing that's remarkable to me. You say they're not ready for the second round of fighting. They started the second round of fighting. It's just kind of strange that they went in without knowing they had enough damage to find the kill, and now this is going to start to get a little bit more concerning, because Leo Style is getting hit up in that middle lane. TP from Gennett, though, should be enough to keep him safe, but look at Gunner. He's going to keep going. No, he's not. He's looking for the TP out. Okay. Decides to be a little bit more sane there.
If Leo Style had Punch, that would have blown up in Gunner's face a little bit, but during all that as well, Lelis goes down bottom. Moo is still being quite the bully, but that was Omni Slash, and he's trying to seek onto Parker in the creep wave, taking a lot of damage, but spin up in 1. This is a difficult kill, Moo, but nobody from Infinity is coming to help this Jug. He is just running for his life right now, and with the lane ward, makes his job a little bit easier, but the rest of the lineup's killing Yamsun.
There's the reason why there's no help. They figure Parker's fine. They get a 4v1 onto Yamsun, so it's going to work out, and this could be a little bit of a bait. Gunner and Moo are going for this, but Prada TP's in. There's going to be a TP from Frank as well, but they do get Parker. What is it going to cost him, though? Moo? He's fighting quite nicely, and he did cancel that freezing field almost immediately, but he does still go down. Frank, yeah, don't really know if you win that one. Time lapse away and resets.
Yeah, walks that one out. Husky rejoins the fight bottom, and Gunner might need a little bit of damage, but I really don't think they've got a great shot at him. Saving both of the spells.
Okay. Gunner's going to play it safe, but now that means Husky is right in the line of fire. They're going to try and take him down, but that Rolling Thunder is still doing some work. The Solar Guardian now coming in as well. Means, well, Gennett is just kind of left out in the cold, and yeah, Frank should be able to walk away, but so many of these fights, ET, it's like they're taking these engagements with the concept of reinforcements just not existing in their minds.
It's just really getting caught off guard and also playing exactly where Pango wants to play. His spells are pretty much all maxed out. He's a level 9 Pango. He does damage, and damage that isn't really being respected right now, especially with the Weaver, I think, instigating a lot of these early engagements, just not having that whole map awareness that I think you're gonna have to look for, because your tower is dead. Now you want to look for that trade, but as we, again, keep seeing with these Morphlings, Yamsun's just anchoring down the lane. He's not going anywhere. His team made the trade. Now the rest of Nouns is going to run at mid, and really, from that previous bout of fighting before, he's got 90 last hits right now. He's ahead of everybody else in the game. Yamsun's got a nice little lead for himself. Now, time to run.
He did get off the shift, so they're not going to be able to take him down instantly, but they are still trying to get himself away for now, but the shards do catch him. There's going to be the Omni. Is it enough? Yes, it is. Yamsun gets taken down. Parker gets the kill. They'll all fall back from the tower, but here comes the cutoff. And they know he used everything. He doesn't have Omni. He did get spin back up, though, so he'll look for the TP home. The Parker manages to make it out. Prada is now channeling the freezing field. Not really hitting up anybody after maybe the first 1 or 2 ticks, but it did push Gunner away. And once he gets the Rolling Thunder, he tries to go back in, finds a kill. He'll TP himself out. Leo Style can't catch up, but if you're Infinity, that was everything that you wanted. You get Yamsun at the start of the fight, so even though Nouns do try to force the issue afterwards, they're missing a lot of their damage.
Yeah, just a little bit too far forward on the Morphling, and the reason why the response is so slow is because they were smoking, because they were trying to be a little bit crafty there. I think that smoke looks a whole lot better if the Morphling is still alive and can play for his life just a little bit longer, and then the Chaos strikes when that Pango roll connects, but until then, nope. Wheel Style's gone, so we're stuck waiting, but we get a nice fight going for them. Just a way that I don't even think Yamsun expected to die. It was just kind of out of the blue.
Now,
I
nobody
mean,
wins.
he was close to surviving that Omni. Just maybe 1 or 2 more hits were left on it when he goes down, but close is obviously not close enough, and now Leo Style has reconnected. Should be able to finish this tower off once the game gets back underway. We'll see. Well, I guess how quickly he can finish his progress towards what I have to assume is going to be a Blink Dagger here, right? I mean, anything else just feels too greedy, right? If you try to lay out for something like extra damage, it's just not going to go well.
No, and there we go. He's going forward. Everybody's ready, and I can only imagine that Nouns are going to want to get this game going, because Gunner, he's looking for his Diffusal Blade. Not the most inspired timing, but will certainly make especially the Jug and Weaver's life that little bit harder. But speaking of the Weaver, Frank's got a full vessel. He has quite a lot more
Yeah.
damage to play around with, and Yamsun is not really close to that Manta style. So really, next time we see that Morphling out onto the map, it's got to be so careful, because now he does rotate towards bottom and starts to take over this area, which certainly is going to give him a lot more farm, but always needs to be cautious. Might need somebody to start playing in front of him, otherwise could get caught off guard, especially if Leo Style decides to go for the Blink Dagger. Don't really know what he's buying just yet, but G whenever ready. We're
Oh.
still in a Leo Style.
I believe he has started the reconnect.
Use skill, pelo amor de Deus.
There it
Alguém
is,
use
yeah.
skill, use skill.
The chat log's always a little bit behind, so they knew he was getting back in, but are we good to go? According to Infinity, yes. According to Nouns, silence. But there we go. All right, game getting back underway. As we said before, tower should be going down here. Leo Style may cut it close in terms of the creep wave, but he could tank a tower shot or two just to make sure, and that won't even be the case. Tier 1 taken. Able to get himself the last hit onto it as well for, you know, whatever that's worth. And Infinity swing a little bit of gold their way. Still trailing by just about 1,000, but they are keeping pace. Parker is farming. He's got the Maelstrom up and running, and obviously this is not quite the same buildup as the TA in terms of the speed, but they are going to want to put some pressure on him in the near future. As Prada, in a fight with Yamsun, Yamsun morphs into Prada to get the Frostbite, and yeah, your Crystal Maiden's not really going to win that engagement. Over on the other side of the map, though, Genic and Leo Style are trying to make a move onto Lelis. They've got the shards, they've got the Pulverize. It's not enough damage, though. Okay, it is with the right click. Genic is going to have to sacrifice his life for this one, but yeah, they're probably okay with that trade, right? That's 3 or 4 heroes on the Noun side who had to rotate over, and it's still a 1-for-1.
Yeah, and it ends up not feeling really all too bad. And Leo Style was in there with a lot for the XP, just making his punch a little bit scarier. But now I do think that we're going to end up in a little bit of a farm war, one that Nouns are going to come out a little bit more prepared with items like the Diffu, like, again, the Manta style for Yamsun. It's where figuring out how to utilize this Weaver is going to be the most important for Infinity. And look at Yamsun, Prada, he's got his ulti, but there's the Solar Guardian. He starts to walk away, and now Prada, well, he's like, well.
Genic, you're a little bit late to this party. Still trying to make something happen. Pulverize is going to come in, but yeah, Frank doesn't want to be here anymore. He's going to try to get away, but he has to avoid the Vision and the heroes, and he may not be able to do so. Breaks to the north instead.
skill, pelo amor de Deus. Alguém usa skill.
Eventually, should be able to get himself out of here, or at least just outrun everyone chasing him, but I don't know, ET. That one felt a little overly ambitious, trying to get Yamsun with just the two of them.
Yeah, no, and again, not keeping track of that Soul Guardian cooldown. Just too easy of a punish for Moon. He's had an incredibly solid game so far. All of the cores incredibly farmed, and he's decided to go for a Mage Slayer. Very intriguing. Possibly a counter for Leo Style. And speaking of Leo Style, their next bout, as there is still a snowball, but ton of damage traded out. He used it. They timed it perfectly when he farmed the wave, so didn't have it, but then they run out of lockdown. So walk away.
Leo Style, well, he's queued up 2 BKBs. That's not how that works, but he's going to at least finish off one in the near future, and it'll be an interesting choice, because, you know, no Blink Dagger means you're going to be missing a little bit of that mobility, but obviously the durability will help him out, as Prada's just going to force this. That's twice now. They've made an attempt onto Yamsun that really just never feels like it has enough power to go the distance anyway. At least it's still just the supports that they're losing, I guess, but it's kind of weird.
Yeah, just taking the fights too close to that bottom tier 1 tower. It's where Infinity might even just look to take it out at this point, because they're struggling to look for objectives to play for. Neither team wants to go for the mid towers just yet. They're happy that their carries are farming, and well, Parker's definitely put under more pressure, and yeah, he has no mana. He can't Omni. Nice snowball, but I don't know if you're going to get the jug out of here, but they got to kill everyone.
Parker's going to make a break into the tree line while his teammates create a distraction.
Ooh.
A distraction that kills Husky. At the same time, over in the middle lane, okay, Frank and Genic make the jump onto Lelis, who was just alone under the tower trying to soak up what he could, and they somehow swing that into a positive, ET. It really did seem like Parker had stepped too far out of line, but they get a couple of support kills. Frank's got to be sure he doesn't get caught here, but yeah, he'll just Shikuchi himself out, and Infinity pull off a relatively solid play.
Yeah, nouns just stretched themselves out a little bit too thin during that entire attempt on the jug. Didn't have any Rolling Thunder, so weren't able to connect, because as we spoke about already, that's one of the weaknesses of nouns. They do not have a lot. They've got a lot of follow-up, but they don't have that much setup. It's where a gunner can't really ever afford to whiff or force himself into an awkward position. Otherwise, it is that much harder for everything else to land. But now, nouns, 4-man smoke, playing on runes. Gunner gets an arcane. This could be a slight timing cure where they look to wrap and then try to get into the triangle, but they're so warded right now, and yeah, they get the D words going, but still, this 4-man unit is just walking around the map. It's pretty obvious what's going on.
Well, just because it's obvious doesn't mean that it won't work. They're trying to put some damage on the tower. Tier 1 mid's in some trouble, and most of the Infinity lineup is not really in position to shift over here and defend this, so this might just be an objective for free. Yeah. Prada and Frank not really able to pull the trigger on that fight. They kind of knew that there were heroes behind the ones actually hitting the tower as well, so in their best interest to just kind of let it go. Oh. What is the next move here? You do see Parker getting close to his next item, but before he gets the chance to pick it up, Frank, well, he goes a little bit too far, and honestly, if you weren't going to make a move to try and defend the tower, I don't really think you should have been there any longer in the first place, but they do manage to catch him out. They find the kill, and now they want more. Leo Style is in some trouble. Yamsun morphs into the Tusk. Just pushes his way forward, and this is where the momentum starts to go on Noun's side. They're playing so far forward now, and there isn't a whole lot to punish them.
Yeah, and that's where you look at Infinity's lockdown and you say, well, okay, is it going to be Genic? Is it going to be our Tusk? We need you guys in first, and it's also where this Morphling is a beast of a pick, where if you don't have silences, if you don't have anything for him to be scared, well, he will just morph into you, become the better team fight, and then beat you. It's where I think that Orchid build might have been something that Frank should have looked for, because as soon as the Morphling got involved, and he wasn't getting involved until this Manta was done, but now that it's finished, it's just a free tier 2 that looks like Yamsun's going to be able to claim.
Seem to have a whole lot of answers to the Morphling at the moment, as Parker Well, they see him farming, but it's just Lelis. Not really going to be able to do too much to immediately jump onto it, but at least they now know, if they didn't before, where the Jug's hanging out, but yeah. Parker goes for the spin TP, winds up mid with his teammates, has the Omni Slash back up, so they're going to look to do something here, but, well, if it's not the fight, it could just be the tower. They're going to push their way forward. Yamsun is here to try and hold, but yeah, not really a whole lot of holding that he can do against that much pushing power.
Yeah, they had complete vision of Gunner there, so just knowing that the Pango couldn't be rolling on top of us, it's a pretty darn easy play to make. And Gunner actually decides to get the Lotus Orb, so says, you can't Omni me now. You're going to have to catch me after my Lotus Orb. I'm going to get to spend most of my Rolling Thunder safe from that Omni Slash. Just a very nice item pickup for him that just frees up so much, not to mention how nice it is for the Morphling, who, again, isn't going to have to worry about getting another defensive item, is instead going to get more damage. And then, ooh, Frank, narrowly able to escape the ice path there, but pressure is mounting. And do you want Gunner? No, you don't. Lotus Orb, it's just too strong. He can show in pretty much any wave now.
It just has maybe not a get out of jail free card, but certainly a possible escape route anytime somebody comes looking for him. As they pop the 3-man smoke here, ET, it's Gunner and the 2 supports, and if they could get the angle on Parker. Parker, though, does have both spin and Omni, so this is not going to be easy, and oh, Frank makes his way over as well. You're going to be able to slow down Gunner's initiation, that the time-lapse gets the Weaver away. I suppose for now it's really just going to be a trade. Gunner's thinking about going in, but diving to tier 1 is a little bit risky, and I think at this point Nouns recognizing it's incredibly likely that reinforcements were on their way.
Yeah, and this is a smoke. Really, no item timing. It's maybe with Frank having a completed pipe, but at least Leo Style has a BKB on that Tusk now. So Infinity can properly dive and keep onto a hero. They're not going to have to worry about that Soul Guardian follow-up stun, but that's also where Moo is very quickly making his way to his own BKB. And, oh boy, Parker Gunner really riding the edge here.
Just gonna go their separate ways for now, and they really wanted Gunner to pop that Lotus. Might have given them a window after it, but he decides to hold. You know, he's got teammates behind him. Felt like he was going to be able to survive as Moo making a push onto Genic, but yeah, really his only lockdown is the Starbreaker. Once that's gone, Primal Beast is just able to get away.
Yeah, this is a situation, though, where I almost wish that Gunner would look for the Blink Dagger before the Basher. I understand why. Basher's great, especially versus Jug. Gives you kill potential, disallows him from going for those spin TPs. TPs completely free, but it just feels like this game doesn't really have an endpoint right now because everybody has so poor catch. Everything is just kind of waiting at this point. Partly because, well, it's all for him to connect with the roll, but the Tusk not going for a blink either. And Gunner on the low ground gets the Lotus, and then, well, the fight can't happen.
On both sides, I mean, they're looking for engagements, and Parker might need to be a little bit careful here. He's going to go for the spin. Not TPing just yet, though. Trying to get in the tree line first. He's got teammates.
He's gonna get caught.
They're making their way up, but are they going to get here in time? No, they're not. That is remarkable that he doesn't go for the spin TP. I think he really did think his teammates were going to get there in time and that he could sort of just sit in the trees and wait, but obviously that is not the case. And now Gunner, well, he decides not to pop the Lotus preemptively, and that is what you would call a mistake.
Yeah, tanks 3 ultimates, you know, but they do get their man. They get the kill. It's sad because with that, they might have wanted to pester Roche a little bit, just with the Jug, if he was alive, but of course, just ends up being a core trade that doesn't result in very much of anything. And thankfully, Leo Style is turning this game around and getting a Blink Dagger, so maybe some more initiations can actually be made, but you wonder if it's starting to become too late, because Yamsun, 15k net worth, has a full Scotty now, is starting to become that monster of a Morphling that we all know the hero can be, where I wonder if really Infinity are going to have what it takes to actually kill him once he has the item after Scotty. I mean, everything is just coming in succession. Not to mention, if you ever try to spin on top of him now, Parker has to look so long for his Omni, and the Omni might need to start landing onto the Morphling, because if you spin, you run into the fight, Yamsa's just going to right-click you to death. He's not going to play around. He's just going to kill you straight up.
Yep. And, well, that's where the Sanjin Yasha is going to make Parker maybe a little bit more durable, but not really enough where I think you're confident just sitting there tanking the full right-click the whole way through, so you're going to have to try and do something. Nouns push their way into the Roche pit. Starting to see some pings out from both sides, however, as everybody's starting to realize that this is what's going down. Roche lost about a third of its HP. And Nouns are really going to try and force their opponents into doing something here. But they're not in position. Leo Style and Genic are on the other side of the map, so this is just going to be Roche entirely free.
Yeah, Morphling Aegis. Now I feel like Infinity are going to start to lose track of these outer towers. And this is all just for this gank squad to maybe get a little bit more time bottom. This should be enough gold to get that touch, that Blink Dagger, but and you look over back top and okay, Frank is dancing, just narrowly survived and moved past that Sword Guardian, but Infinity are just dodging. They're just not fighting, and Nouns are okay with that completely. As long as they're not dying as well, then I just feel like they're going to scale that much better. And look at Leo Style, the pings can let us connect. Misses with the vision, but hits with the bushwhack. No mana.
Oh, they just burned it. No BKB, no TP, he's dead. Yeah, you start to get the feeling Infinity are losing their grip on this one more and more.
Just not enough proactive plays, and the game is going to continue to really snowball out of their control. They're going to, of course, play for their high ground, play for their BKBs once they do get a team fight going, but it's just peculiar to see. Very similar style to what they had going for them in Game 1. It's just, in Game 1, Parker had 30,000 net worth at this point, you know? Just doesn't feel like this jug is really enabling him to do very much, and the rest of the lineup isn't coming up to bat either. They're just gonna bide in their time, and again, a situation that I feel like Nouns are happy with, because they have the harder late game. I think they've got the better team fight too. I feel like Infinity are not under, or at least they don't feel like they're under the same pressure that I do.
Yeah, well, maybe they're right, but it certainly doesn't seem that way from where we're sort of looking at it. But Nouns, open up a little bit. Yamsun can afford to just kind of stand here on the front line for a little bit. Still 3 minutes left on that Aegis timer, so just basically daring someone to come after him, I guess. And Infinity, they are going to go for the 5-man smoke here, ET, but we'll see what they can find. Gunner's making his way over. They're going to try and make the move. They get the Walrus Punch onto him. Can actually finish him off, though. They need more damage, and they've got it. Pulverize is going to be there. Now Moo. Well, he's Solar Guardianed in, so he's kind of stuck. The Omni Slash is going to be deployed. They're going to try and pass it between Yamsun and Moo, and that works out pretty well. Now the Silence comes through before the Juggernaut is able to really do anything, but this still isn't working as well as they would have wanted. They're going to lose Husky, and now Yamsun is by himself, but well, there's going to be the morph into the Weaver. He's able to Shikuchi out. He's just holding his ground, and now it's time for the retreat if you're Infinity. Genic, well, he's not going to get to retreat. He just stays behind to make sure everyone else gets out safely. Parker, though, didn't actually leave. He might be in some trouble. Silence from the Orchid, not really going to be enough, but ET, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's not a win if you're Infinity, but you were able to get a couple of kills. That all-important kill onto Gunner at the very start is fantastic, but if they have to use everything onto Gunner, there's just nothing to kill Yamsa.
Yeah, the morph is still a major problem, but they were able to abuse their BKBs. He Lotused himself. It was enough to save him in that instance. They drop absolutely everything on top of him and get their man. That's all they could really play for in that instance, and the more they do fight, the less time that Yamsun does have to just straight up hit up onto your buildings, but still doesn't feel great. They do come out, I think, maybe 100 gold ahead somehow of Nouns in that situation, but it's where once those BKBs start getting a little bit lower time, we could see a little bit of a problem transpire as Leo Style. My man.
He is almost assuredly dead here. Pops his BKB at the very end, but it's not going to be enough, and I'm surprised he did that. Snowballed his way through the creep wave to try and take it out in an area of the map where not only do you not have vision, but you have had a couple of previous engagements in that area as well, so it feels like take your eye off the ball for just a moment, and nouns find the kill. They're going to get the tower. They've got a full Daedalus on Yamsun, so with 29 seconds left on the Aegis, they could look for the high ground push here as well.
And Yamsun crashes and he's unable to connect back to the game, and Infinity are, you know, no nightmare situation like that. But 30 seconds left on the Aegis. Yamsun, just pure virtue of his pressure that he was able to put on bottom, got the glyph. So really, there's no reason for them to stop. It's also where I think the Yamsun very nicely should be able to slot out this Aegis for either a Satanic or a BKB, depending on what pressure he feels like he's under more. Even though I think either item plus the Solar Guardian pretty much makes him unkillable at this stage. Mu also has a full Bloodthorn, so really everybody has to be careful. And it's also where Parker not going for the Manta style, going for the S and Y. Sure, he's got the stats, but can't really afford to slowly approach. It's where as soon as they go for that jump, everybody needs to be on board and it already has to be happening. Otherwise, the Bloodthorn is going to dissuade a lot of that aggression. But in the meantime, let's get Yamsun back into the server.
Yeah, still got to wait for the morph to return. So hopefully it doesn't take too much time here, and while we're waiting, take a look at what's going on up top. Rada and Frank still trying to get a little bit of a split push game going here. Now Leo Style is going to DC, but Frank is working his way towards the Aghanim Scepter, so honestly, it's going to be useful, right? We've seen Leo Style and Parker both get into slightly awkward scenarios, so time lapse onto a teammate might just be able to help them reset the fight. It's just, it still doesn't seem to solve the problem. They have to use too many resources to go after any of the other cores, and that leaves them well short of the mark they need to kill the Morphling, but I don't know. Lasting longer in the fight with the friendly time lapse, maybe that is enough, but it's all going to depend on just how hard Parker and Leo Style can actually hit.
Yeah, it's no Gleipnir. I would have liked to see a Gleipnir. That would have been more fun. As well as that item actually being a pretty great answer to pretty much everything in this game. But, just hoping that he can turn Parker into the ultra carry that should carry them. But this is also a pretty bad situation that they have to deal with in the immediate. Tusk is dead, no buyback, no BKB, no glyph. And 30 seconds left on this Aegis, Yamsun's looking to die. So there is going to be some crazy dive coming in pretty soon here from Nouns.
Mm-hmm. He is looking to put that to use and maybe just find a pick off onto one of the supports in the process, right? You could get Genic out. Honestly, that would probably be maybe a little bit more valuable than the Crystal Maiden, but we'll see what comes their way. But they're set up for it. They just took the tier 2 tower and got everybody here. How are their BKBs looking? BKB up for Mu at the moment in terms of the cooldown. Gunner, well, doesn't have a BKB, but his Lotus is at the ready. So not quite the same thing, but pretty damn close. So Nouns have all the damage. They've got all their defensive items, and I think they're going to be ready to go. The only thing they're really missing right now for Gunner is Rolling Thunder, but considering Yamsun's going to be the one making the push in with the Aegis, Gunner can afford to maybe wait his turn and be the second initiation.
Yeah, but in the meantime, Yamsun's getting up there with this pause time. This is a little abnormal. And of course, these are the US East boys. This is not assumingly a server issue. So this is completely on Yamsun's end. So I don't know, a little bit scary. Hopefully there's not a blackout or anything on the East Coast, because that's where I'm at. Oh no.
Yeah.
But no. Hopefully it's not going to be too problematic, because you would hate, and of course, Infinity are gentlemen, I'm assuming, and it hasn't happened even when we've gotten up there with pause time, where a team just says that we're not going to pause for you. You have 15 minutes, and then we're going to just go regardless. But I'm sure that would leave kind of a nasty taste in Infinity's mouth as well. Even though, honestly, with the way the Nouns have been playing and what they've got going for him right now, could see somebody just piloting Yamsun with what he's got and probably, honestly, give Infinity a run for their money. But it's no way to win and it's no way to lose.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, we don't come anywhere close to that kind of decision being necessary, because the pause time earlier was all on the tab of Infinity, I believe, because Leostal was the 1D seed. So Nouns started this with their full pause time. And well, until we hear anything from the admin, okay, Leostal kind of jumping the gun a little bit, wondering about that time. But 6 minutes, says Badger. Thank you very much. So, yeah, 6 minutes for Yamson to get back in, unless it was a catastrophic issue. As you said, maybe a power outage or something. He should hopefully be getting himself back in, or at the very least, get some sort of update from the Nouns side within the next couple of minutes here, because really the ball's in their court. Right? Once this game gets resumed, they have all the power. They're going to get to choose really what comes next in terms of trying to push the high ground, or, well, I was going to say, backing off, but there's no reason to. There's literally nothing else on the map for them right now that would be more valuable than just testing this high ground.
Yeah, and I mean, that's next up. I feel like with the radio silence from Nouns as well, uh, they probably don't know what's going on either, which is even worse to a certain extent. But no, this is interesting, and hopefully, I mean, I'm checking right now, seeing if there's like a server issue, and hopefully he's all right. There's not like a fire alarm going off or something. Apartment, house. I feel like that's sometimes been the case in the past, but fingers crossed here from the New Jersey boy. But hopefully get started in just a few minutes here because we are getting dangerously close. Got 4 minutes left for them, and then with the way that Leo style kind of aggressively typed that, then I guess we're just going.
Yeah, the opposing team asking is always a little concerning. Let's put it that way. But yeah, we'll have to see. Did want to check just real quick, like on those two split pushing heroes, Frank and Prada. Do both have their TPs, so they can rejoin. They can get back into the base for this defense, and then at that point, we're still just looking at the 25 seconds on the timer for the respawn.
Did you fall out of the nest as a baby?
Yo, Hoodwink, that's a little uncool there, voice line wise. Hoodwink's kind of messed up.
Use skill, pelo amor de Deus. Alguém
Oh,
usa
well.
skill.
We all kind of knew that, right? Hoodwink, it's a walking, talking, murdering squirrel. There's already something wrong there.
Raised by trees. You can't trust trees.
A fan, but well, this is really kind of the unfortunate part with the way that we are at, the position we're in, all five pushing mid, right? Aegis in hand. There's not quite that much to talk about here. I mean, we all know what's coming next. There's not really much that could be done to deviate from this plan. Outside of maybe actually, never mind. I was going to say Parker finishing off this Basher. He already has the parts. He just needs his courier brought out to him, so he will have Basher. He will have Omni. I guess at this point, though, who does he actually Omni? I mean, if the Lotus isn't applied, maybe you can get onto Gunner and kill him quickly, but the last time we saw that in that fight near the River ET, it took him too long. Gunner lasted too long, and then Yamsun cleaned it up, so does it have to be Gunner again? Is there any chance they could try the Omni onto the Morphling himself here?
Absolutely not. But we'll see. And don't worry, his PC go boom. That is the most interesting thing. I did not expect Lelis to type that of all things. Let's say as much, but I can also give the update that Yamsun is in Dota 2. So done. I don't know if he's on his main PC, if he's on a friend's PC, is on his mom's PC. Who knows? Who cares? Hopefully he's going to be battle ready though, and raring to go because he is currently in Dota. He's probably just making sure everything feels okay or looks okay, and then can only imagine we're just moments away because he is back online on Steam at the very least. Now it's just fingers crossed at this point.
Is never try.
Yeah, there's some good news. Hopefully he gets back in. We're down to 2 minutes, but if he's online, then should not be too much longer here, and we'll see. We'll see how this all plays out. In terms of the buyback for the Tusk, it's not available, but how close is he actually? 348.
Proper skacks.
I was gonna say maybe if this tower went down, but it's pretty much at full HP, and Frank and Prada are almost certainly gonna have to TP back, so yeah. I mean, they're absolutely gonna have to wait. How much damage can be done in 25 seconds, though? They could lose really the entire mid lane of Rax, but if Yamsun is looking for the fight, like we were sort of anticipating, with his Aegis ticking down, that could widen the window, depending on who he actually finds. If he can get himself a pick-off, then, you know, Nouns could take one lane of Rax, swing their way bottom, and then even if Leo Style is back in, it's still going to be tough for Infinity to put together some sort of teamfight initiation.
Yeah, and ooh, okay. It
He's
looks
coming
like he's
back.
RCing, but I was worried because when they say replacement PC, when they say that, oh, he's hopping on a new setup, you know, reconnecting the games in Dota has somehow become this monstrous task at times, but it looks like finally he's gonna get back in. Everything looks okay. And then fingers crossed we can get this high ground push underway. And really, the one who's the most antsy here being Leo Style, it's kind of funny because he is just dead, but it's also that feeling in Dota where even once we get this game underway, Leo Style still has nothing to do for 24 seconds, so he's gonna be kind of bored out of his mind here. It's where pausing the game while you're alive, you know, at least he'd have something to do, but he's just already on the back burner as soon as he respawns. And there we go. G.
Our goal today is speed.
It's back
momentum,
underway.
violence.
As we said, Parker's going to have that basher delivered out to him. He's pushing forward before he's actually got it, though, which is, you know, ever so slightly strange. If he'd have waited and then pushed in, maybe you get a lucky bash onto Yamsun there, but not going to work out. So the Morphling, though, does fall back. His Aegis should time out. Frank, though, did not TP out like I thought he was going to. He stuck around while Prada came back home, and they're able to stun him up and bring him down. So now, okay, cool. Leo Style's back in, but without your Weaver, can you really do this? They are going to try to push in, trying to get directly onto Yamsun as that Aegis timed out, and they actually get it. There's the bash, there's the Omni, they find the kill. Gunner's in some trouble. He's trying to roll his way out of here, but he's not going to make it. Oh boy. Here
Bash?
comes Infinity. First hit bash, Parker. That's a hell of a purchase right there. Basher comes in and immediately finds the triple kill. And now, well, I mean, Frankie probably still shouldn't have gotten caught out there, but that death really does not matter.
Yeah, just 2 heroes top. They find the 3 that remained, and oh no. Leo Style just wants to play Dota, but that's pretty ridiculous. In 30 seconds.
Oh no.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Hold on,
And
hold on,
Infinity
hold
are
on.
having none of it, but
Now-
this is insane.
I have a question. Is this Yamsun's computer crashed, he rebooted it, and he got back in and it crashed again? Or did his computer break and he went and found another one, and then that one also crashed? I don't know which one is more cursed than the other, ET, but that's incredible.
It really truly is. And we are past the point of, and I don't, what was that roll? That was,
That was, Between 0 and 269,955,313. Just an everyday occurrence. What's the problem?
See
It
you
is
later, see you
interesting that
later,
it goes that
nerds.
high. You know, there's
You'll
Valve
remember
stuff.
nice.
But,
I didn't see that coming.
Was this
Well, we've
skill-
certainly
was this skill
extended
build-up? Was it
past
build? Okay, was
Wait a
this
minute,
skill
I read that
build?
wrong.
time.
Now who cares? I can't do
And
math.
okay. Yamsun's back in. They're out of pause time. And Infinity, not being nice guys, we're just here to play. 3 heroes dead, and now they've got to sit and live with that. But Mound's got to get back into that winner mentality and that headspace, because they've just got a rock thrown in their face.
Yep. I think, yeah, he was able to, you know, reconnect just fine. Hopefully, just fine. But they are now out of pause time. So if it happens again, it's going to get rough. But now if you're Infinity, all of a sudden, you know, you've got all this breathing room. Not just because of the death timers, which already gives you a little bit of space, but that was Nouns' attempt to push in when they had the Aegis, when they had the 9 or 10k net worth lead, and it all just kind of blows up in their face, and no damage was done to any sort of tier 3 or racks. So, yeah. Is that enough? We do see Parker working his way towards a BKB at this point, so he is finally looking for that sort of secondary defense outside of just his own spin. And the Aghanim Scepter is finished off as well. So you've got spin, you've got BKB, you have a potential friendly time lapse coming out, so they're in a much better position to defend themselves.
Infinity, they're not slowing down. They, I think, have a smoke. Yeah, pomps it from Prada, and they're continuing to look for plays. Smoking into no vision, though. They do have to take that long wrap around, but Leostar with the haste, he's in early, sees Gunner. He's going to have to chain him up, but that swash just barely got off. And now going deeper and deeper into Noun's vision. Do they want this? Genic found the connection.
They do have the pulverize. Moo gets hit up first. There's going to be your time lapse being used defensively, but look at Genic. So disruptive on the backline, which means Moo, for now at least, he is fighting alone. The bash is going to come through, but his BKB is still going, but there's going to be the Omni. It got reflected, though. It's not really bouncing the way they want it to, but... oh... he's still fighting. They've got the root. They've got the bash. Yamsun's in trouble. He's trying to shift as best as he can, and for now, it's keeping him alive. But Genic charges in again, doing some damage, and Nouns are starting to lose cohesion. They've lost Moo. They're going to lose Husky. Gunner's now in trouble as well, trying to use the Ogre Seal Totem to get himself away, but he's not going to make it very far. They will take him down. Boy, oh boy, do Nouns wish that that sort of DC hadn't happened, because now, despite the fact that Yamsun gets in, the momentum gets broken, we have that long pause, and Yamsun is not unkillable. He's not untouchable. He's not even close. He barely survives in that fight by the skin of his teeth, and Infinity are no longer intimidated.
No, and they're finding the supporting cast. They're getting onto the backline. They're finding really those heroes first, and then you're getting tapped. And even though that was a great Lotus Orb, that was a drive-by Lotus Orb, that was really tight from Gunner, you still lose the fight with an entire Omni/Wasted. It's where Parker's just geared himself up to be this tankier, meaner, bigger carry. And okay, TP's out, the rest of the lineup runs, and that was a buyback on Leostyle. And Leostyle, it looks like he's just going to get killed off by Yamsun, but now they have to do the inverse for Nouns. They have to find heroes like the CM, like the Primal Beast early on in these engagements. I think simply Infinity got too many spells off, and of course, you can't just jump one target either. There's an Ags on the Weaver. You have to jump multiple targets at the same time, create your little fights, and then I think Nouns can start to dismantle Infinity's lineup. But until then, well, Infinity get to retreat to their side of the map with a pretty darn good lead, as well as a ton of net worth and levels that Parker was just able to farm off of both of those fights.
Just in a really good position at this point. Still trailing by a couple thousand in terms of the overall net worth, but compared to that high watermark where Nouns were before, they've done quite nicely for themselves, and Nouns pushing their way across here. Yamsun's able to finish off a BKB. Roshan not going to cooperate with them. Still a minute on that cooldown, so once everybody's back up, we will see the attention shift towards that pit, but for now, wrapping their way around mid. Parker's gonna see him. Gunner, though, blinks in. Can they actually get the kill in time? Well, not with the time lapse coming through. Parker's gonna be able to pop that Omni Slash now, and Yamsun's in some trouble. He's getting bashed up in the middle of the Omni as well. Now they've got the Pulverize onto him, dropping him low. They cannot afford to lose the Morphling, but they don't keep him alive. Well, Frank will go down in the process, so there is your trade-off, but I mean, they're done, right? Nouns can't really afford to push into another fight. There's no Rolling Thunder, and there's no Morphling.
No, just really great stuff from Parker. Perfect reaction. Gets the BKB off. Knows that he has to wait for the Lotus Orb. Waits for it to go out in its entirety. And then knows that the Morph waveformed in. So you go down. It's also where, with the change in the patch, as another fight, because Leostyle, he didn't get any of that before. So he wants to go for these engagements. Okay, walk into an ice path.
Well, he gets the Walrus Punch off. There's the Abyssal Blade stun coming out now, as Parker was able to finish that off. So they get the guaranteed stun. They take down Moo. He has no buyback available. And now, guess what's respawning? Roshan at the perfect opening for the side of Infinity. Still 35 with no Morphling. Somebody's got to scout it, though. There we go. Genik's able to get into the pit, so they know Roche is up. They'll take the outpost as well, so there won't even be a TP when these heroes respawn. And at this point, if you're Nouns, I don't really think that you can afford to contest. I think you have to let it go.
15 seconds on the morph, but Gunnar would have to do a crazy play here with the roll, and I think he's just going to force it and hope for the best. They know that this is going on, but then Frank runs in, creates space, creates distance. Lelis is nowhere either, so it just feels like they're going to have to give this one up, and oh, this game's a complete role reversal now.
Aegis into the hands of Parker. Shard being held by Frank for now. Not going to take that himself. He passes it off to Prada instead, who's also not using it. So we're just handing this one off from one player to another as Genik. He's able to get close enough, but with the roll up into the Rolling Thunder, they can't actually initiate.
No, just too fast, too quick. Unfortunately for Gunnar, not level 25 yet, no CDR either, so that Rolling Thunder CD does hurt. And Gunnar, oh,
that's a
got
problem.
clipped, but no BKB, so Genik can't stick.
Ooh, man. Close call there, but Parker just goes back to the tower. Do want to point out, the man who ended up taking the shard on the Infinity side was the Tusk. This is not a shard we see all that often, but it makes the shards that sort of longer physical block. And, well, 60 DPS, that actually isn't all that bad either, but it's mostly going to be for the forced repositioning, right? If you get cores caught in there on the Noun side, they're going to have to either walk quite a bit or use a movement ability to get themselves out, which means it then isn't available to avoid the damage.
Yeah, I'm sure that maybe Pango players have an opinion on that one, whether or not they think it's easier or more difficult to play versus it. Gunnar would know. Gunnar would have an opinion. Maybe we'll ask, but we'll see, because this game is not really getting any easier for them right now. I think that's an Ags, or most of an Ags now coming out of the Courier for Leo style as well, so threat of kickback and disjointing your Morphling, who still only has one initiation, and on 732D, also with the change to the 25, we'll have to see what Yamsun goes for, but is not nearly as powerful as Leo style. Tried to finish off that Ags by going for the mid-wave and then peels completely away. Would have conflicted there with Noun smoked up behind them, but this is the long wrap, and they'll find everybody. Here's the initiation, though. You gotta watch Gunnar and look at those bugs.
Gunnar's going to make the move. He jumps in, gets the first hit onto the Crystal Maiden. They're going to lock him down as well with the Bushwhack, and they've got it. Prada gets taken down. No buyback available, but what else can they get here? They're going to lose Husky. Now the Morphling's in trouble. He gets hit by the Abyssal. He's already dead. Oh, that's a problem. The Morph does have buyback. Will he force it here? Not sure he's going to have a choice because Gunnar still isn't back into the base. He's able to swashbuckle away. Now the Ice Path comes through, but Genik is charging, pushing his way forward. Gunnar is in some trouble. There's going to be the bash, dropping low, swashbuckles back into the tree line, and Yamsun did have to commit the buyback, but Gunnar is still in some trouble. Genik tried to rush after him, and that might have been a little bit too far from the Primal Beast, but I mean, some serious buybacks being forced out here, and if you're Nouns, can you afford to take another round of fighting? I don't really think they believe that's the case.
Jumping into a 4v5 is certainly a decision and a whole move. Looking to cancel out the TP, just narrowly whiffs on that, but with the Jug showing top, they at least get some more much-needed farm, but oh, what a frustrating game. And now, of course, margin for error, 0 when it comes to this Morphling. If he gets caught out of the base, if he gets kicked back, if he gets caught without his BKB even, that could just be GG right there.
Double damage rune bottled up by the Tusk as well, so Leo style is gonna be looking for something. Well, I say he's gonna be looking for something. He might wait. Some 30 seconds left for the Primal Beast to be back up, and to be honest, you really can't say enough how valuable Genik has been here. His ability to just get on that backline, be so exceptionally disruptive to the Nouns lineup is really not something I think they want to push in without having that benefit. Of course, that makes this timing window really tight, right? He's back up in 8. He'll have 30 seconds or so on the Aegis remaining, so we'll see if they can find anything in that time. Parker, though, with the way that he's angling, may just force Nouns to sort of put themselves in front of him, because he's going to get onto the tier 3. Nobody comes to stop him.
He gets those TPs, he gets a free spin, damage onto the tier 3. There's no glyph as well. We'll get refreshed once that tier 3 is taken, but 22 seconds. You don't want to do much damage here. Just get the healing ward, but oh no! It came out too late!
And Moo is dead. Just straight up dead. But 10 seconds on the Aegis. Parker does need to fall back, regroup with his team. But he's going to be able to do exactly that. And now the question is, if Nouns want to fight, Moo's going to have to buy back. Do they look for it, or do they just sort of wait it out here? Although, I feel like they're realistically not actually going to get the chance to wait it out. It's 70 seconds, and the racks are exposed. They're just going to push their way in. They'll take it. ET, do they swing for another lane immediately, or is this just a moment to maybe regroup?
Oh, they got their harass, and nope. Oh, that's the Hex reveal.
Yeah, Parker, I mean, he is taking some damage, but it's not enough just yet. Yamsun, though, does go in for the kill they know they can get. They'll take down Prada, and there's going to be the buyback. Moo, rejoining the engagement, gets in with the Solar Guardian, but the Abyssal Blade is still locking the Morphling down. Can they finish him off? They've got him with the Pulverize, dropping him low. They need more damage, though. Yamsun, for now, will survive. Waveforms away, now morphs into the Weaver so he can fall back into the base, but that leaves Gunner out in the cold. No backup for him. He's able to swashbuckle into the base, though, so he is fine. Husky, however, may be in some trouble. There's going to be the shards. There's the kickback. The Jakiro is caught. They will be able to take him down, but Leo Style falls in exchange. Moo is able to get back in onto him, and they take Leo Style out, ET, but he is the only member left on the side of Infinity who actually had his buyback, so it's a good play from Nouns, but they can't really push any further off the back of it.
Yeah, and Loyalist and Husky saved the game. 3-man Bushwhack, 3-man Ice Path. The only reason that Yamsun has enough distance to actually walk them one out in combination with the Trickster Cloak, but still incredibly close. Very, very close game, and you are now completely out of buybacks. If any core dies to that next Omni, and again, a team fight where there wasn't an Omni/2 put out, that was just with Parker right-clicking people, it's still an incredibly difficult position to be in. And full mid. Okay, Hex. Nice save from Gunner, and that Hex makes their game so much easier. Don't know if they want to follow up any further onto the Primal. Kind of putting themselves out a little bit far here. And with the trees going back, both sides decide this is a little bit too crazy. Even though nighttime's coming up, so this is where a definitive jump could just mean GG. Because Nouns might not be able to react to it with that reduced vision.
I do want to point out here, looking at Frank with the itemization, he's still a little ways away from it, ET, but he has the Orchid queued up here, already halfway done with the Aether Lens, so that time lapse on a shorter cooldown, still with no mana cost, is not going to be the end for Nouns, but it's just going to be so hard. If they don't get someone on the first attempt, they're going to be reset pretty much back up to full HP.
And, well, you hate to say it, that we have to wait for maybe an Aegis, and we'll have to see what Roche looks like in 10 seconds here. But at least if Infinity choose to wait for that Aegis, then Nouns will get the majority of their buybacks back in time. And let's see, how kind are we looking?
2 minutes.
Extremely kind for Nouns.
2 minutes on the timer, so they're going to smoke up, look for a fight. Full 5-man smoke into their opponent's side of the map. Scan, not going to reveal anything immediately. And really, this should not find anything at all. Nouns do a good job of just sort of falling back to the base. Not going to get themselves caught.
And abusing the fact that they don't need to check for another 40 seconds, that they can afford to actually cut this bottom wave, and Nouns would have to spend quite a bit of time raking through and getting rid of all of this vision that Infinity have set up. But Nouns also are fairly aware of where Infinity are playing, and Infinity do have to continuously check, and they will check every minute on the minute, but that's where one D-Ward clawed back, slight bit of control that Nouns now get to play with, even though any second out of the base is kind of a risk here. Your buybacks are still pretty much 2 minutes out. They would love to find a jump, but this is also where they can't afford to die at all. Great ward, though. They see everything.
Okay. Parker still looking. Ice path thrown behind him. Hex now applied. It's just some poking and prodding for now. Genic, though, does throw the rock out, and yeah, that forces a response. The roll-up is used. Starbreaker comes through. No actual, I guess, major cooldowns needing to be expended there, but You tell how sort of on edge nouns are. They recognize there is a significant threat if they do get caught. But while all this happens, ET, that Roche timer is down to 20. Just a little while longer here, and then, well, nouns may not be able to just sort of stay back and hedge their bets for much longer.
Yeah, and now 7 seconds. Again, they inch closer. They smoke up. They're trying to get the hill now, and they will fight for it. Always places the sentry, but this is where it's all about that high ground vision. And Yamsun in. They've got everything. This is everything for nouns.
They're going to try to go. They do manage to get off the pulverize, but they need more damage. Yamsun able to waveform himself back for now. Parker, does he chase or does he regroup? He's going to regroup, trying to get back over to Leo Style, who is in some trouble. Dropping kind of low here. Can they save him? Well, they can with the time lapse. Leo Style still not dead, but now that means there's no defensive itemization for the Weaver. They're going to be able to take him down, but there's an immediate buyback. Frank looking to rejoin, but he needs to be able to get here in time to save his Juggernaut because, well, Parker did get into a little bit of a rough way, but he's been holding the Omni Slash the whole way through. Can he find his opening to turn back around? Yes, he can. Omni going to come in onto Lelis. They find the first kill. Genic now blinks his way forward. They're going to get the pulverized down onto Moose. Spin now from Parker, trying to hit up as many as he can. But they're not focusing Yamsun, so the right-click damage is going to be there. Parker now gets stunned up. Can he survive this? He's not going to be able to make it out. He will go down. Buyback is available. I don't know if they really want to buy back at this point because there really isn't much of a fight left for them. Leo Style is getting picked off. He will fall. This is Frank now in trouble as he dies a second time, and well, it's Noun's turn to take the fight, to force out the buybacks. They're going to look to push high ground. They're ignoring Roshan for now. How much can they get? Rock throw is going to slow them down. The glyph is going to be deployed. Leo Style will expend his buyback. Should still lose the tier 3 tower at this point, ET. Yamsun's going to finish it off, but there's going to be the kickback. This is a problem. Pulverize is going to be there. There's a buyback from Parker, but he needs to be on the front line right now, and he's not going to make it there in time. Maybe they still get Gunner, though. He is getting locked down. Walrus Punch, Abyssal Blade, kick back. Gunner's going to look for the TP out. Can he make it home? Yes, he can. And somehow, Nouns really don't get punished for that. They do only get the tier 3, but that's another big buyback used. Now Parker's is on cooldown as well.
No, and all you need is a kill on him and the game is blown wide open. Just, I think the initial Omni Slash, Parker was very patient, still not wanting to get that reflected out onto him, but then ran out of damage. And Yamsun, who has a Satanic and now has his buyback come up off cooldown, well, the danger zone is now completely on Infinity. Nouns have 2 lives to give out. Infinity need to change their target onto the Dawnbreaker. Otherwise, there's no advantage to play with. And I think without their Weaver, they're deciding to sack the Roche. So not just a buyback like to play with, Yamsun's going to get an entire Aegis to now play around with and look for his kind of revenge here with this next Aegis push. Because Yamsun's raring to go, and they even say, okay, we're going to give the only hero on our team without buyback, aside from Lelis, that Aegis. So now Mu doesn't even have to worry about that. Mu can be a madman.
Yeah, he's got the Abyssal Blade finished off to go along with those 2 lives, so well, this is the most confident I think Nouns have felt in a little while in this game. There is still a cheese in the Morphling's hands, though, so it's not like Yamsun is left completely defenseless at this point, but on the other side of things, that was a Refresher Orb finished off by Parker. He does have to shift the Sanjin Yashi into his backpack, but 51 minutes in ET, you know, S&Y doesn't really do you quite as much good anymore, but oh. Infinity are still looking. Right. They got the refresher. Genic's got a Shiva's, so they did get a little bit of a bump up here in terms of their own strength, but it's not going to be easy.
No, certainly isn't, and this is where the game will pretty much reset. Parker did just get a refresher orb, so 2 Omnis to be scared of now. Something that Nouns will most likely have to scout out and have to call, otherwise could just get everything he wants, but okay. Moving forward up that mid lane. No vision right now, and yeah, Genic will place the ward. Parker is still just a little bit too far out. If he gets Hex, this could be it. And look at that, the Chain Stun, he needs help.
The Lotus is going to be there. It might be enough. Yeah, the time lapse is going to come in. So Parker is still alive, but who does he want to focus down? He has the Omni available. Will he go for it? Yes, he will. That's going to take care of Moo's first life. And now he's going to refresh, looking for a second Omni. Oh, actually not going to use the second Omni just yet, and Moo is still falling. Well, he's falling, but he's not actually dead yet. There's going to be the snowball, though. Should allow him to reconnect, and
Ooh.
Leo Style finds the kill, and now they might look for a little bit more. The Hex, though, did come out again. The Bushwhack's going to be there. Parker's locked down. Gunner's going to jump in. There's going to be the Rolling Thunder getting the first hit. Turns around, looking for the second, but I don't know if they have the damage this time around. And the time lapse is only 3 seconds away, so if they can't get it now, they may have to back off. But Parker doesn't want to let them go. He doesn't have mana, though. He doesn't have enough for the Omni, and well, the time lapse still doesn't get him enough to actually go for it. So now, how does this fight play out? Yamsen's just going to start hacking away at Leo Style, and well, he's dead with no buyback. Parker's now in trouble, looking for the spin TP. Does he make it home? No, he doesn't. Gunner bashes him. Parker's going to die, and that may very well be the game.
No, it certainly looks like it. Yeah, I think with that, and depending on whether or not Frank even survives, which I don't think he will, there's just a CM Prada versus the world, and Nouns do it. They get their revenge. There's no way they can hold here on Infinity. There's not even close on those buyback timers. This is just it, and what a comeback. Yeah, just some misplayed and I think some flawed decision making around that Roche pit, and Nouns getting their mental state back in sorts. Just a really nice comeback. One that, again, probably came off some tilt from that pause, but they worked for it and they get it.
A lot of effort being required there. A 53.5-minute game, and that's not including the time that we were paused up waiting for those reconnects. But at the end of the day, Nouns knew if they didn't pull it off here, they would be headed down to the lower bracket. So it may not have been pretty, but they're not going to care. They needed a win. They get a win, ET. They are still alive in this series, and we are going the distance with a third game on its way.
Yeah, and Yamson Morphling, easy. Looked a little bit harder, and I think really once it came down to it, those late game team fights and the Hex coming from Gunner, those two really the standouts here. I think that, of course, nobody on the team really could have afforded to drop the ball, and there's some great team fight combos from Nouns, but just the consistency from Gunner, the amount of reflected spells, just that Lotus Orb paying so much in this game, and then the Hex, I think, being the linchpin and the reason they could have gone for a lot of those fights. But even then, the way they paced out that final team fight, just what, 9-10 swashbuckles, burning the mana of the Jug that already doesn't have that much mana, who pops the refresher and can't even use the second Omni. Just it felt like Infinity were going a little bit crazy there, even though they kill Moo, and Moo's, stuck watching, probably still calming, but, on the sidelines effectively for 100 seconds, just doesn't matter. And honestly, glad that Nouns find their footing back in that game, because it was a bad look after that first push. The 3 heroes die, doesn't feel great. They lose the next stages, ugly stuff, but they still win the game.
They managed to pull it out. They even up the series at 1-1, and they look pretty good here, showing off some grit, showing off some persistence. Meanwhile, on the Infinity side, honestly, I mean, right, they make that a fight. They come back from 10k down before things kind of swing back the other way. But I will say, Frank on this Weaver, towards the end, right, he gets the Ags, he's throwing out the time lapses onto teammates. That's obviously massive for them, but it just feels like this could have been maybe a more conventional offlaner, and you could have made up for not having the time lapse save by having more lockdown, more damage, just more things for him to do.
Yeah, and I think him and Leo Style, real reason why this game felt so slow. It was a low kill game for the first 25 minutes. Nobody really could make a move. Everybody was stonewalled. And I think that's where maybe leaning on those conventions could feel a little bit nicer. But I also would like Infinity to maybe take a step away from the Tusk, because this was not the best showing. I think that's where Gunner simply looked better, played better, made that Pango seem like a hero that, of course, the mid matchup's a 50-50, but just felt like Pango felt stronger. And I think that's where maybe Infinity change up their priorities a little bit. But enough hypotheticals. We got game 3.
Yeah, we are going to be getting into that third and final draft in just a little bit here. So we will be hopping on out for just a bit. We'll see you on the other side of the break, though, for our last game of the night.